page here. Give me a second. So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today and thank you for being patient in tonight's deep dive class on social media. We've got a really treat here. We've got Tierney Ferry who's going to be presenting tonight, and I'm going to turn it over to her. And Tierney, because I've got the thing, you're just going to just say, next when you're ready.
Yep, yeah. You got it.
Awesome.
Okay, so thank you. For anybody, that doesn't know me, I'm Tierney. It's a pleasure to be with you guys tonight. We're here to talk about how to share your love of Young Living on social media. And I think, I'm not going to get too much. I am going to talk a little bit about why it's important, but the fact is we're all here because we either already recognize the value of using social media, or because we recognize the value, but we feel that it's a weakness of ours, or maybe an area in our business we don't know a lot about, or we want to learn more about. So I'm here to provide what has worked for me. I will say that I'm definitely not an expert in marketing and using social media to to grow my business in leaps and bounds. But I have found that it has definitely made an impact in my ability to share and my ability to make connections with people. And most specifically in my ability to attract people towards me that I want to be in relationship with, that I want to be working with, that I want to network with. So I'll talk a lot about that more tonight in a little bit. So Heather, we can go ahead and hit the first slide. So like I said, I don't need to convince you guys, really. You're here because you kind of know social media is important. And so it is a tool to leverage in sharing your love of Young Living, but I would argue that it's even more important than that. It's not just another tool. It's kind of like becoming a necessity, I think, in any type of, when you're doing any type of sales in today, in 2020. And that's because of the times that we live in. So since 2004, social media has been growing exponentially, and it hasn't even reached it's not projected to have reached its popularity yet in 2020. So there's no denying that social media, the platforms are on the rise, right? Every year it's there's a new one, right? It was Facebook, then it was Instagram, now it's TikTok, right? It's just exponential, right? In its growth and in its reach. And it's where people get their news, especially younger people. It's where people share information. And so this is where that comes in for us when we're sharing Young Living. We have information to provide for people. And we have educational content to provide to people. And so it is a really important tool to sell services and goods and to sell yourself, right? Because Young Living, as we all know, is a lifestyle, and it's a lifestyle that we live. And so it's more than just products, it's community, and it's all those things. So I want to show you guys a couple of statistics so Heather, you can hit the next slide. Just to kind of really help you guys understand why this is kind of crucial for us. So 68% of adults in the United States report using Facebook. And studies will show that Facebook continues to be the market leader in social media trending as of 2020, as of this year. I think that I'll speak for myself. I've had Facebook for many years. I'm a millennial, so I don't I've resisted Facebook. And I've sort of been attracted more to Instagram and other modes of social media. But for Young Living, I will say that I've learned as I've started sharing more and growing my business in Young Living that Facebook is really, really valuable and it can't be overlooked, specifically for this reason, because there are still a lot of people that resist TikTok, that resist Instagram, that resist Pinterest and YouTube. Like Facebook, pretty much everybody has. And I think the value of Facebook is that it has private groups. So for those of us that know, we're in private groups, exclusive Young Living groups, where there's amazing product education and all kinds of community building in there. And in terms of prospecting, when you're thinking about sharing Young Living, you're not only able to post, on your feed, but you're able to join interest groups on Facebook. And so in interest groups, like you maybe it's a mom's group, or it's like a pet lovers group, or it's a yoga teachers group, or whatever your interests are, but you get to make new networks, you get to meet new people. And this is a business where we're sharing a lifestyle. We need to constantly be meeting new people and having conversations. And so it's a really great way to start conversations and have private messages with people that way. Okay, so the next slide, I want to talk a little bit about generation statistics in terms of who's using social media. This is like 90.4% of millennials use social media regularly. So millennials are technically, they are people born after 1980. So 1980 to 1994. So you're looking at, this would be people in their 20s, their 30s, up to age 40. So this is like, this is important when you think about, first of all, where you are in terms of who you're relating to, your target market, I guess, in terms of like, who are your friends and family? Who are you trying to share Young Living with? If it's a millennial and you're not on Instagram or you're not on Facebook or you're not doing something online, you're missing an incredibly large market of people. So it's important. You can go on, Heather. So we're going to do the next one is Gen X. So these are going to be your people born after 1965. So 1965 to 1980. So 40 through 50s. And for those of you, like some of you will be laughing to just see the the graphic that I put there. You if you were born in the 80s, you know that. And if you're a millennial on here, if you're like a lot younger than me, maybe you don't even know who they are. But yeah, so that's a fun one. Okay, and 77.5%. So that's a pretty big statistic. So you're talking people 20s all the way up through into their 50s. A large percentage of people are using social media regularly. Mm-hmm. And then the last, Heather, you can hit the next slide. The last group is baby boomers, and 48.2%. I mean, that's almost 50% of baby boomers. Now, these are people in their 60s and 70s. So it doesn't, the point I'm trying to make is that it doesn't matter who your target audience is almost. It's like these statistics speak for themselves. You kind of have to be using social media on some level. It's kind of like, it's kind of a no-brainer, right? And again, you don't have to be like a guru, but you just have to know the basics to get on there and feel confident using your voice authentically. And we are going to talk about that in just a bit. So Heather, you can hit the next slide. Just a couple other statistics. 73% of marketers believe that social media has been somewhat effective or very effective for their business. That's, again, a large statistic. And there's 50 million daily activity Instagram stories worldwide. And what's interesting is that statistic shot up. So in 2007, it was 150 million. So that's an exponential, again, to show you guys like how exponentially social media is growing in terms of its impact and importance and sharing, sharing your product or sharing whatever it is that you're trying to promote. So Instagram stories are a big piece of what I use to leverage as a tool in my Young Living business. I don't post a ton. Like, I'm not the kind of person that, I just don't have the time. And a lot of us, I think, maybe will relate to this. Like, we can't be online doing all these fancy posts all the time. But I love my Instagram stories because I can get on there real quick, and I could be creative. You know, the fun thing with Instagram stories is that they're engaging. You can add questions, you can add polls. So I do a lot of with my members, like I'll speak to them directly and I'll say, hey guys, what do you want to learn about this week? Like what's interesting to you? You know, are you interested in learning about greening your home, the thieves line? Are you looking at oils? Are you looking at products for your pets? Like what are you guys interested in? And I can engage with them and put polls up that way and see how people are interacting with me and see how I can serve my community and my prospects. So it's twofold, right? I'm serving not only the members that I already have that I've developed relationship with that are following me, but I'm also constantly making new connections with people. And so that's a fun way to bring it, to bring interest into your business that way. Okay, so we can do the next slide. So consistency builds trust. This is something I learned from Jordan Schrant. She's a Royal Crown Diamond in Young Living, and I've learned a lot from her. And she says that that's marketing 101, right? Consistency builds trust. And so if you live Young Living daily, then that's consistency, right? Like if behind the scenes, not on social media, like you are a product of the product. You love your products. You're passionate about your products. You're waking up with them. You're ingesting them. You're diffusing them. You're going to bed with them. You're putting them on your kids. And then it's kind of important to present that like in terms of like how you present yourself on social media, right? Because we on social media, maybe if we haven't shared Young Living at all, or we're not sure how to do that, like we think about what we post already. We post the things that we value. We post about our family. We post about our friends. Sometimes maybe we post a really fun shot of a beautiful meal that we made, or we take a picture of a haircut that we got that we're kind of proud of, and we want to like, and we want to throw a nod to the hairdresser and say, hey guys, go visit my friend. She does amazing highlights or whatever. Obviously you can see I've not been to the hairdresser. That's a bad example for me because I'm really lazy there with my hair. But you know what I mean? Like we do this all the time, even if we're not using social media for our Young Living business. Like we promote things all the time. We're promoting what we value all the time. We're promoting our lifestyle. So to get on there and to talk about Young Living, if you're truly living it, is not disingenuous and it's not salesy because it's who you are. It's in line with who you are. And it's the difference between, right, like having someone perceive you as really walking the walk, you know? And I think that it's important to note that when you do make a post or you do get on with your stories, not every post or every story has to be like a call to action, like, hey, buy this product from me, buy this kit, or hey, get this product, right? It should be about sharing a lifestyle. So you're just sharing what you normally do. It can be so easy and so effortless as, hey, I love this deep relief roller. I just worked out. Oh my gosh, it feels so good. Drop it and leave it. Let somebody maybe come to you and say, hey, what is that? Now, some posts, I think I will say, you know, sometimes we do want to be a little bit more intentional if we have the intention to target someone or target a certain product, and maybe we do want to say, hey, I have a link in my bio to my enrollment. Like maybe sometimes that's necessary, but not every time you show up on social media do you want to do that, because then the perception of people is that every time she shows up and talks about Young Living, it's always to sell me something, right? So if it comes from just sharing naturally what you're already doing and sharing your lifestyle, then it's really easy and it's not disingenuous. And the last thing I'll say about consistency is that consistency on social media should not take the place of the relationship building that you do behind the scenes. So I would never say like, yeah, focus all your energy on sharing on social media, but forget about your coffee dates and forget about putting oils on people, right? Again, it's a tool to leverage in your sharing business, but it's not the end all be all. So you still have to show up and you still have to pour into the people that you're prospecting and your friends and family behind the scenes that you've been talking to. So the consistency that you show on social media has to exist alongside the consistency that you're doing in your day-to-day relationship building. So I just want to make sure that I say that. Okay. Attraction marketing. So attraction marketing is, I had alluded to this earlier. Attraction marketing is a marketing strategy that attracts customers and clients to you who already want and are looking for what you have to offer. So the concepts of attraction marketing as a marketing strategy will help you set yourself apart and clearly define your target audience and their wants and needs so that you can serve them. So the idea behind this is, like, you guys have probably heard, like, your vibe attracts your tribe, you know, these like trendy, like colloquial things that we hear, or like attracts like. So basically people want to either be with people who have a culture or a like-minded belief system or lifestyle already like their own, right? This is just basic psychology. Like, people are attracted to people that they identify with at the same level, right? I'm a yoga teacher. Other yoga teachers are going to be attracted to what I'm teaching and what I'm saying, and vice versa. I'm going to want to learn from them. Or people are attracted to a group of people or a person that they aspire to be more like, right? So think about the people, maybe if you're on Facebook or Instagram and you're following other professional accounts or random people you don't know, like, why are you following them, right? Because they probably inspire you. And so that's just something that you want to think about when you want to think about like, who are you attracting to you, right? And how are you presenting yourself, and what's the impact you want to have when you show up? So I use social media for 3 reasons. And I got really clear on this when I started sharing Young Living. I wanted to be very intentional. So I use it to inspire, to educate, and to empower. Those are my 3 words. And every time I post, I really try to sit down and make sure I'm hitting one of those things. And that way I never have to question the integrity of my post, or whether or not I don't have to get caught up worrying about if I'm going to come across as salesy. Okay. So next slide. Okay. So just raise of hands so far, like, or you guys can put something in the chat thread. Just talk to me about, like, what social media you're on. I just want to get a sense of, just take a small break and just get a sense of, like, are you guys on Instagram? Are you on Facebook? Do you use YouTube? Are you on TikTok? I have to say, I'm not even on TikTok. I'm a millennial. I'm not on TikTok. I mostly use Instagram and Facebook. Okay, Lillian, you're trying to build Instagram, Facebook, and yeah. Facebook and Instagram, I would say, are really, like, the way to go, I think, for a lot of people, especially if you're just easing into it, you're starting out. YouTube can be, I think, a little more advanced. IG and sometimes Facebook. Yeah. So a lot of what I'm talking about tonight has to do with Instagram and Facebook. So I'm glad to see that it's going to resonate with you guys. Okay. So public and private sphere brand. So this goes back to your vibe attracting your tribe. So there is a line I think that we need to address. There is I think that there's, like, a culture sometimes, or a movement, I will say, in, like, the Facebook and Instagram community, where it's like everybody wants to be super relatable. And I think that that's important, but I'll also say that being authentic does not mean you have to show up and show all of your parts all the time, right? So what this means is that whether you call it boundaries or intentionality, there has to be an element where, when you're running a business, because if you're sharing Young Living online, you're sharing, you're trying to generate income, you're trying to be professional, you're trying to build a business, right? There has to be some level of purpose and intentionality behind that, right? And so you don't have to feel like you have to show every intimate detail of your life, right? You don't have to feel like you have to go on there and do an Instagram TV and IGTV or a live on Facebook and rant to everybody about the horrible day you had. And, oh my God, I had such a bad day, and I'm going to have to, go use my oils for to pick me up out of my depression. Like, we don't have to do that, right? Because you also have to think about, like, again, who you're attracting. And so again, it's like you have to figure out what your intention is. But if it's to uplift people, empower people, inspire people, you want to show up really intentionally to provide them with value, and just be intentional again about who your audience is and the kind of people that you want to attract towards you. So next slide, we're going to talk about building a brand authentically. And building a brand, listen, this is like, these are market heavy words. Again, I'm not an expert in marketing, but I do have a little bit of an understanding of the idea that when we show up to share Young Living, we are sharing ourselves. We are sharing, again, because it always comes back to speaking from your experience. So yeah, we're sharing the company, we're sharing the company's values, and we're sharing the community values. But a lot of the times we're really speaking from our own experience and we're sharing ourselves. So we are a brand. Like every single individual on this call is a brand. And so I loved this, this iceberg, because it really shows the brand is the overflow of who you are. So you have on the surface, you have like your experience, your offerings, your voice, right? What you're putting out there. But underneath the surface, there's so much more to you, right? There's your values, your visions, your purpose, all of these things. And so you want to be sure that you stand for something that you believe in, and that you represent that. And so again, who you are online and who you are on social media has to be the same person that you are in real life. So what this requires, and I think this is really important, is that everybody who's thinking about sharing on social media, right, or who wants to do it authentically and with intention, it really requires getting to know yourself and doing some personal development work and really doing some mindset work here. So you really want to think about, what are your beliefs? And these are questions you guys could be jotting down, right? As you're starting to think about how you want to show up publicly. What are your beliefs? What are your values? What are your beliefs about life? What's your worldview? Why are you here, right? What kinds of things do you value? Honesty, a strong social life, a beautiful home, like, right? Like, just really start to think about the things that have meaning to you. My values, I'll give you an example. I told you my 3 words when I think about when I share, inspire, education, and empower. My 3 values that I come back to, the stuff beneath the surface, is truth, freedom, and growth. And if I had to add a 4th, I would say interconnectedness. But I really encourage you guys to think about and just come up with a few words that really represent you. And actually, if we hit the next slide, I have an exercise for you in self-awareness. So if you guys have a phone or if you have a pen and paper, I would encourage you to take like a minute or 2. And this doesn't have to be anything crazy, but think of some words that you want people to think about when they think of you, right? So this has to do with how you see yourself and how you want to be seen. And you can just brain dump here, right? So just take a couple deep breaths, soften your body, soften your mind, and just let it free flow. Maybe come up with 10, 15, 20 words that come to you about who you are, what makes you you. You can think about what your style is, the things you love. And these are some questions to get the juices flowing. What makes you come alive? And so you'll see all you need is a minute or two. You guys probably have a page full of words. And I encourage you to take this exercise further and sit more with it and spend more time with it, um, and really exhaust. I mean, if you have more than 20 words, that's awesome. But this is like a really, this is, I can't stress enough the importance of doing this kind of work and really understanding yourself so that you show up with intention. Because it will save you so much. It will save you the doubt. It will save you the self criticism, the self judgment, the not being clear. It will save you so much in the long run if you do the work before, right? And so we can hit the next slide, and what I would say is to take it a step further. And this is really cool. I did this exercise in my yoga teacher training, when we were talking about the aspect of branding yourself as a yoga teacher and going out into the world and sharing the business of yoga. We did this exercise where we we took a pen and paper, and we would put our name on the paper, and then everybody would pass their name around to everybody else in the group. And there was about 15 of us, and everybody in the group would write down a couple things about the person who, whose name was on that page, so that by the end of it, you'd get your paper and you had like 50 descriptions of the ways that people saw you, right? And this is important because, I have this graphic here. It's like what you say and what you do and how you make other people feel. That's your brand. It's about how people perceive you. So sometimes we have blind spots, and this is another tidbit in psychology, is like sometimes we need to have the feedback from other people, and it has to be trusted people. So I will specify that when you do this exercise, you really want to make sure that the people you choose are judgment-free zone people, because otherwise it won't work. But you really want to go to like maybe 2 or 3 close trusted friends and family and have them do this exercise, right? Get a list from them in terms of how they see you. And then what you can do is you can combine the way you see yourself, the way you aspire to be, the way people perceive you, and you can get a really full comprehensive picture of how you are and how you're presenting. And then you can choose to see which maybe top 3 or 5 words feel the most in alignment. And then Heather, if you hit the next slide, you can take it even a step further, right? And you can take, right, everything beneath the iceberg, take that vision and turn it into a mission. And the mission becomes how you brand and how you present yourself online. And so you can ask yourself, right, after you've done the self-awareness on yourself, after you've done the exercise where you ask other people to give you their perception of you, you can really sit down and ask yourself, okay, so I have all these beautiful qualities. I see in myself, these other people see me this way. Well, why do I hesitate, right? And then get really introspective. Like, what is my most negative thought about myself, right? For me, this is an example. I don't know enough would be something that would come up for me, right? And I've had to do a lot of work on that. So when you come up with your most negative thought, the reason why you freeze or you hesitate to act in alignment with all those beautiful characteristics from the first 2 exercises, then you flip it. So for me, I would flip my most negative thought to I am enough, a positive present statement, right? As if it's happening now. And then what you can do is you can take that new declaration, you can take all of those characteristics, and you can create a mission statement with your values and your beliefs about how you want to show up in your Young Living business. Cool? Okay. This is just an additional little prompt for you guys if you want to screenshot this. This is a meditation that I do. I do it quite often. I learned this at the Chopra Center. It's just a great way to tap in and to get really centered. So you sit for 5 minutes, focus on your breath, and you can ask yourself internally these 4 questions and just soften your mind to see what comes up. I often will journal after I come out of the meditation. And it's again, it's just a beautiful way to tap into self-awareness. So just an extra tool for you guys if you want that. Okay, so now we're moving into some very specific. So I gave you guys a lot on the background, the work you have to do, why it's important to show up. This is just really practical stuff for those of you that are ready to, to get going. So you want to post as much original content as you can. I tend to try to post mostly 100% of original content on my Instagram and Facebook feed. On my stories, sometimes I'll pull graphics or things that other people in Young Living have created. Just, not to reinvent the wheel, but to almost create like product education or something like that. But again, the brand is you. You're part of Young Living and you're part of the company, but it's also you. So, and people want to see you. So I think that's important. Some people have asked me, sorry about that. Can you guys hear that? My iCloud is connected to my phone. People have asked, like, what's the difference between building and starting to share Young Living on a personal Instagram or Facebook that you have versus creating a new page, a new Instagram page or a new Facebook business page to start out. And I think that the consensus, from what I understand in my experience with Young Living and listening to other people who have like kind of more mastered the social media scene, is that it's really not imperative to create a new page for yourself unless you're in a higher leadership position in the company. So if you're just starting out, as most of us are, we're just trying to find our way sharing, just share from your personal page. And again, it's like a lot of the other stuff we talked about, you're sharing your lifestyle. So I think this might be Jordan Schrant. It could have been another Royal Crown Diamond. I can't remember where I got this, but basically they talk about, like, if it's your personal page, you want to think about the ratio of how often you're posting, Young Living versus other regular lifestyle things you were already posting. So I try to aim personally for every one time I post about something in Young Living, I'll post 3 or 4 more times at least about something else, one of my other values or something else in my lifestyle, before I'll post something else about Young Living, so that it brings balance. We don't want to have a personal page that all of a sudden becomes everything Young Living. People might feel that could be a little disingenuous. So you want to think about your audience. So you want to constantly be, right, again, thinking about that attraction marketing. Who is your audience? Who are you targeting? And engage with them. So asking people in your posts to comment, following up with people in private messenger. And then you want to also think about targeting pain points and seeking to inspire and inform. So not only are you speaking to what people need, right? And again, somebody in Young Living said this, like, you're not selling products, you're selling what people need. You're selling to a need, right? So we want to make people feel better. We want the audience to be the hero. We don't want to make it about ourselves. We do have stories to share, but we always want to constantly be thinking about what our audience needs from us and how we can serve that need. You also want to target people's desires and dreams too, though, right? So people have aspirations, people might have questions. So you want to seek to inspire and inform people just as much as you seek to serve their pain points. And actually, Heather, this is a Heather-ism. So I'll give you credit for this. Heather likes to say that people come to learn, to be entertained, to inspire, or to connect on social media. And I love that. And I think it's really important to drive home that there are certain reasons why people are coming on. So you have to figure out what that is for your warm market. The best posts share insights, transformations, engage people in people's emotion, mix in content and quotes. You know, you want to bring your personality to it. You know, if you have events, you want to post about those. If you're teaching a class, again, for not all of your posts, but for some of them, you do want to include a call to action. So for Instagram, this would be like a link in bio kind of situation where maybe it links to your enrollment link. We talked about that in week 1 and we followed up in week 2. So if you guys still have questions about getting your enrollment link, just follow up with one of us or whoever brought you here, and we can help you get that in there. There are ways to, so for Instagram specifically, there are ways to basically get a free website that you can put in your Instagram bio. So there's 2 apps, and I'll link them on the next slide on the resource page, but there's one called Linktree, and the other one is called Milkshake. And they're both free apps that basically allow you to, it's basically like a free website, and you can put your enrollment link in there along with maybe another, if you have a website, a different website for a different business you're running, like let's say you sell mala beads, but you're also doing Young Living. You could have both links there. So it kind of is really nice to look into those if you're offering multiple services. And then live stream. So we, you know, there's algorithm stuff, which I don't know a ton about. I'm not going to get into it, but basically if you go live a lot, Instagram and Facebook will reward you with visibility. So you want to constantly be thinking about having a presence. You can also schedule posts. And this saves time when you're like, if you're really busy and you know that you're going to have a week where you're not going to have time to really get on and share anything on social media, but maybe you have a full free day the week before, you can use this app called Later, which again is on the next page. So if you guys want to screenshot that, but this app is really cool. And I've used it to basically, like, if I have 3 hours of free time, I'll get on there. I'll look at the calendar for the next week and I'll say, okay, I know that I want to talk about, you know, peppermint oil, and I want to talk about, you know, seasonal support. So I'm going to talk about peppermint, lavender, and lemon. And I'm going to talk about, you know, the peace and calming that I love for my son. And if I know that I want to talk about certain things, I'll just go on and I'll schedule those posts in advance so that on the day, it just alerts me and I just click it and the post is done and it posts for me. So it's kind of nice. And then the last thing, which is just kind of like a sales tip, right, is to offer deals. So this works really well. Everybody's attention span is so limited on social media. So sometimes when people see like, hey, I'm offering this time-sensitive deal for the next 3 people who want to grab a kit with me, I'm going to pop a special gift in the mail for you. I'm going to give you a welcome packet, and I'm going to put a roller in there and a dryer ball for you. Like, you could curate whatever, you know, speaks to you. But that does kind of press on people's fear of missing out. There are studies to suggest that like those kinds of tactics do work. And so that is something that you might want to think about from time to time, not all the time because it loses its value if you do it every week, but maybe once every season you do something like that. You offer a fun contest or giveaway or something like that. That can be fun, and that can be that will bring up the engagement because a lot of people are actively posting and commenting on your chat that way. Okay, so the last slide is just going to be additional resources to grow your social media presence. Again, we talked about the free websites on Instagram, Milkshake, and Linktree. You can make your own graphics. There's a great app called Canva, which again is free, and you can pull in your own pictures or get pictures and curate whatever you want that way. The scheduling the posts is Later. If you don't want to recreate the wheel and make your own graphics, and you might be someone who, you know, like you're like, hey, I see all these beautiful graphics that people in Young Living have. Like, how do I get those? Well, most likely that they're getting their Instagram stories, or their beautiful posts from paid apps that you can use. So Oil Revolution Design and Grow Workspace are options if you don't want to do it yourself and you want to just have everything done for you. And I think, Heather, you had those up on your screen. I don't know if you wanted to share that with people, but basically, like, they're really comprehensive, and they have the Instagram stories and classes and everything already done for you. So you
Yep.
can.
Sorry.
Heather, I didn't know if you were gonna pull it up or not.
I'm thinking about it.
Okay. Trying to get it up. So anyway, I mean, if Heather can pull that up, she can show you a little bit about what that looks like. And then the last resource is Join the Sunday Social. So again, that's a paid subscription, where if you're really into this and you're like, okay, like, I really want to optimize this and do this right, and understand the marketing and really have all the graphics and have everything, there's if you go to that handle, Join the Sunday Social on Instagram, they also have a Facebook page. It's two Royal Crown Diamond sisters, I believe, and they run this business where they train you how to use social media to leverage your Young Living business and to share. And so that whole page is dedicated to that. And I believe it's like $20 a month or something. And I don't know how long I guess you can hop in for a month or 2 months or however long you need to learn what you want to learn, and then you can hop out. But that's just a resource that's there as well if you want to take it to the next level. So Heather, do you want to kind of show them what you're scrolling through here?
Yeah, so you guys can hear me. This is basically, I've logged into Oil Revolution Designs, and this is a subscription. It's $55 a year, so it's very reasonable. And what you get in here, well, I've just pulled up the Insta stories for CBD. So you're seeing what these little images are, and you download these from your phone onto your phone, and then you upload them, and you've got a whole little story of teaching about CBD. So people can pop on it. This is if you're on Instagram, that is. So it's like Tierney said, these are beautiful. They're already done for us, and they're actually branded. So you can see at the bottom, it's got my name and my member number, which is kind of fun. So if anybody decides they want to enroll with me, they would be sure to see my member number. That's a great thing. So there are a ton of these. You've probably seen them on other people's stories. I am slow to the game and getting things up there like that, but it's available. I have it, and I just haven't used it. And then the Grow Workspace, again, it's another subscription that has stories, and you just go in, and this is something you subscribe to as well. It's well worth it. There's a whole lot of classes and workshops. So again, all things CBD. This will be an example of one. I'll show you what theirs looks like. It's a little bit different. So bonus Instagram stories. And this, you can not only have the Insta stories, but you would get like sway links. You would also, which is something you could text to your friends. So what this does is it downloads these little JPEGs, and you can see there's 22 of these little babies. Again, really pretty, similar. So it's the price is a monthly price versus the annual price. So I think that's kind of cool to know about as well. So
yeah, so there's options, like, and it depends on where you are and how much you want to invest and how far you want to go with it. So lots of ways you can do this for free, and lots of ways that you can make it easy. And as my mom says, throw money at the problem. So sometimes, like we don't want to put all the work in, or we feel like we don't have the time or the creative tools to do it. And so if you want to try one of those subscriptions out for a month and see what that's like, that's there for you. I personally also haven't really gone that route. I've just done everything kind of DIY, but that's just kind of who I am. I kind of just try to figure it out as I go. So I've made a lot of my own graphics, and I've gotten away with that. it's probably taken more time than it's needed to, but I'm learning as I go. Um, so yeah, I think that would conclude our presentation on how to use social media. So if we want to just open it up to questions, if anybody has specific questions for myself or Heather or any of us here who you know, who might be able to answer for you.
I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.